Interesting.
Sand carrots. Frick you, Kelso.
Sand carrots. All right. Are we all ready?
There we go. That's what I wanted to do. All right, so jumping back in. As you guys do get close to the city, Yerk does find a nice place near a side road to drop off Darien and Liberty. Saying farewell to the both of you, and thank you for your help in his little excursion. I wish you both good fortunes on your travels.
Thank you.
Mother's grace be with you.
I appreciate it. Mr. Ghost, any spot in particular in Corizo, or?
Wherever works.
Works for me. Yeah! And he whips up the horses again, and they begin to move off. Liberty and Darien, we'll go with you first.
Okay.
As Yerk pulls off, you're on a side road that will lead you to the manor, to the Ramtuk mansion. It's going to be about a mile or two of walking.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what time of day it is? Is it?
It is probably around 2 p.m. Sun's still pretty high in the sky. It's pretty warm out.
Side of the division. Is this part of the city?
Say that again?
Is this on the part controlled by the Sultan or the part controlled by the Emir?
Technically, you guys are still on the western side, so this would be the Emir.
Okay, noted.
Slight amount of retcon, out of curiosity. Given the time of day, I'm wondering if Rain would still be at the library, or the bookstore, rather.
Thinking about it, yeah, that's probably most likely.
Okay, so I'm gonna retcon, and we'll go there.
Okay. And quick question. Is it Rain or Rien?
It'd be Rain.
It would be
they're-
Rain? Okay.
Yeah, because Tabaxi are typically named after
Right.
their surroundings at the time, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it would reflect the weather. Not-
Good to know. I always read it Rien because of the spelling, but that also makes sense.
Yeah, it's just Rain with an E. But that makes sense.
At least I didn't think it was rainy.
In a sense, it
then-
was.
Then in that case, you guys all stick on the cart for the journey into the city. Making your way there. Yeah. Okay. Making it to the city walls, the high walls and high towers become quite apparent very quickly as you guys make your way towards the city itself. The large metropolis area is teeming with life, and people are moving this way and that on the road, either making their way into or away from the city. There is a line to get into this gate, and it takes a little while for you guys to move through. A large group of guards checks everyone as they go into the city for this and that. Yerk, when you guys make it to the gate, produces parchment that he hands to one of the guards, who looks over all of you with a quizzical eye before handing it back and says, "Keep moving. Next!" And you are led into the city. Buildings are packed quite tightly here. The roads are just big enough to get 2 carts through. But other than that, it's a lot of 2-story buildings and 3-story buildings all packed tightly together. Fabrics and cloths and lines that stretch across from building to building often provide some form of shade or just decoration throughout the city streets, intentional or not. The people moving about are mostly human. You do occasionally see a dwarf here and there, as well as some darker skinned elves. But yeah, that's most of the city. As you guys push in, are you having Yerk take you to the bookstore, or are you having him take you to a common area near it?
The latter.
Okay. Yerk does make his way to what appears to be a large market with shouting vendors and the smell of ripe fish most prevalent. He lets you all get off and here says his goodbyes. I wish you all safe travels. If you ever need me again, you'll know where to find me.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you for yours. It was good to be able to meet some individuals with a, how do I say, common goal.
Quite.
I wish you all luck. Farewell. He whips with the horses again, begins to trot off.
I hate the checkpoints, but I do miss being in the city. It's so colorful. All the drapes and everything on the lines.
What would you all like to do?
She's typing something.
Uh-oh.
No, it's I'm in push to talk, but if I
Oh, that makes sense.
am not when it starts to like, starts entering it into the chat box, I'm like, no, I just want to talk.
I think if you click on the taskbar, it'll unfocus Discord enough to where you can do that. While still being able to see it. Yeah. So I was just commenting on the drapes and the colors of the city.
I think Rin's just gonna wander off down the street.
All right.
He's got no reason to stick around, so might as well start looking for a place.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the people kind of quietly agree that the city does look nice. She's kind of just looking around at everything and everyone again.
Keep close. Tell me, have you been on this side of the city?
Not for a long time.
Mm.
I prefer to stay closer to the temples on the other side of the river.
That makes sense, makes sense. We will go home soon. I just have to make a quick stop to pick something up. And then we're just gonna make our way towards the bookstore.
Okay. Making your way through the market, you hear the sound of men bartering, the movement of large crates and goods from stall to stall. It's a quite bustling area. As you guys move through it, you make it your way down a few different roads, side streets and the like, getting away from the clatter of noise that was that area. Before making your way to a smaller strip that has some of the nicer shops. You see several different types of tailors, some armorers. The carrying of weapons is not necessarily forbidden in this area, though it is restricted. And you can hear the sound of blacksmiths at their work, the stables down at the end of the street. You hear the tinking of hammers as they're probably shoeing a horse before making it to a small shop, a sign hanging outside of it with what is the name of the shop?
Anyone, feel free to spitball.
If you say the Penny Dreadful, I will accuse you of plagiarism.
I don't know if that would match the aesthetic.
Not quite the aesthetic, but Wizard with a bookstore. It was definitely not an original idea.
To be fair, was your parents.
Yeah. I don't know.
For now,
Powell's books.
for now, it is the Ramtuk Library.
Sounds good. What, Jesse?
Howl's Moving Bookstore.
Yeah, the I don't know. I'll come up with a clever name at some point. I hate naming things. I honestly do.
Oh, wait,
It's okay.
Who's the knowledge spirit from Avatar? The one that looks like an owl that turns into a dragon?
Oh, gee, I don't remember his name. Anyways, we can workshop it at a different time.
The spirit of knowledge.
The spirit of knowledge.
The Kapara
For
Gamora.
now, for now, we can go with the Ramtuk Library.
Okay.
It's a small little bookshop nestled in between two larger shops. On the inside, the smell of old books is immediately prevalent. It's kind of cluttered. There are a lot of bookshelves filled to the brim with books, notes and papers and the like. A brazier on the far side of the building fills the shop with a sweet smell of incense. And behind the counter, you see a quite distracted figure, a female tabaxi with the pattern of a white leopard, sitting in a chair, leaned over a book. She shouts from behind the desk, I will be with you in a minute," without taking her eyes off of the book.
I make my way up to the desk and the leathers that were strapped over my shoulder that I had to carry from such a wonderful distance. I just kind of onto the desk. Rain, have you been neglected?
She jumps in. She jumps in surprise at the sound of the large wreath of leathers, and then looking up. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was terribly distracted. And then seeing Liberty, she changes her tone. Master Darian, it is lovely to have you back at the shop. I did not know you had returned already.
Yes, business was concluded a bit, it took a bit longer than I expected, but it went well. Remember the rule, Rain? You could read the books, but you have to keep sweeping.
I understand. I apologize. She looks quite ashamed.
It's alright. Introductions. Rain, this is Liberty. She is a friend of mine that I picked up on the way home. Liberty, this is my daughter Rain.
She gives a deep bow before turning a quizzical eye at the word daughter.
I'm gonna retcon that. I realize that I'm mixing lines here. I'm just gonna introduce her as Rain. This is
Okay.
Rain.
A pleasure to meet you, madame.
Pleasure to meet you as well. And then Liberty gives Arian a look.
Rain, is anybody else in the shop? How busy has it been today?
It has been a relatively slow day today. The market is quite hopping, as it were, and I've only gotten about two customers.
Well, that is quite a slow day. Come, we will close up early for the day. We shall go home. I am ready to be home after such a wonderful trip.
Certainly, master. She gives another deep curtsy before beginning to pull stuff together, putting out the incense and whatnot.
I look back at Liberty with a sort of awkward grin, because her demeanor is quite obvious, and she's definitely confused and judgmental.
Yeah, no, Liberty's eyes are burning holes through your soul.
I hold up my palm, at like chest height. I'm sure you have questions. I will answer them later.
I look forward to hearing these answers.
And then when Rain's finished, I'm gonna have her hold half of the leathers to help me walk them home.
All right. She has a large tome in one hand that is the book that she was reading, and kind of drapes those over the same arm and supports it. If you would like to walk out for a second, lock everything up.
Okay, I shall wait for you outside.
You do so, and she locks everything up before joining both of you in the street.
Have everything?
I do.
All right. Liberty, we shall head to my domain, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
State.
Domicile.
My domicile, thank you.
My hill fort.
We shall eat sandcake.
Will the madam be joining us for dinner, master?
I believe she will be joining us for a while, actually.
Certainly, I will make sure that the guest room is prepared once we make it home.
Wonderful. Have you heard from Zephyr today?
He is home.
Okay.
A little stir crazy.
Yes, the boy does have a way about him. Zephyr Liberty is her brother.
Yes, I believe you mentioned that before.
Of course, of course.
The palpable, awkward silence on your walk is hard to
Fantastic.
swallow. Sure, that's one word for it. You guys make your way through the city before making it to a side gate where you were let out towards the large hill that the Ramtuk estate is on. Making your way through this area is a bit more open than the inside of the walls. Buildings and some smaller shops, as well as many residences, are out in this area. And as you guys push forward, it takes about 45 minutes to get from the wall to an area that is increasingly familiar to you, Darian. Making your way up the hill, up winding roads, you pass larger and larger houses before making it to a low wall with a large gate in the middle, behind which you find the Ramtuk estate, a large building with many windows on the front, quite well kept. This is obviously more of a rich area of living, and quite a bit better off than what you're used to, Liberty.
Indeed. It's been some time since I have seen such living quarters.
Yes, the family home. You'll have to forgive the distance. I did not choose where my forefathers built the home.
Rain opens the gate for you as you all walk in, and opens the door, letting you all in. On the inside, it's a nice open area to begin with. Some basic decorations hang from the walls, old paintings and decorative shields, as well as small pots filled with desert flowers that brighten up the room ever so slightly. Rain takes your coats and leads you into the large open area, furnished quite lavishly. It's quite cool in here, slightly due to the stone that most of this building is made out of, and just, mostly due to that, actually. You can hear the small tinkling of a fountain in a small side room. And mostly that's it. It's quite a silent area. Rain, without meeting either of your gazes, eyes cast down to the floor, says, "I will begin to make dinner."
Wonderful. Here, I will take the leather. Actually, Rain, would you put on a pot of tea and would you fetch your brother?
Certainly, master.
Liberty, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to put the leathers in my study. Feel free to.
Right.
Making your way into the study, it's a familiar space that you've been in quite a bit. Large bookshelves on one wall filled with old tomes, dusty and quite well used. A large desk at which sits a red-skinned tiefling, boots up on the desk, twirling a small penknife in his hands before the door opens and he notices you.
Is this Rin's lost son?
Say again.
Is this Rin's long lost son?
Quite possibly. He startles in surprise as you open the door and he sees that it's not Rain. Quickly taking his feet off the desk. Darian, I didn't expect you back today.
I see that.
I
also
welcome.
I also see the feet on my desk. Don't act like I didn't. We have rules, remember?
You have rules.
I suppose.
I like it.
This is
I
like
definitely
it.
gave the DM liberty, and I am absolutely enjoying the shit out of it.
I like this man.
Well, I was going to have Rain come fetch you, but you are here, so come, we have a guest.
Oh, I don't have my uniform at
It
the
is
moment.
fine.
Okay, whatever you say. He sheathes a small pen knife in a back pocket before following you out.
Zephyr, I trust you attended to the garden today?
He pauses for a second,
You
searches his memory. Did.
Remember
I love
3
him.
seasons ago when the cabbage is spoiled?
I definitely do. Definitely haven't forgotten about that.
I
Don't
love
that
him
again.
so much.
We all have chores to pull around the house, myself included.
Can we keep him?
Anyway.
I don't know if Darwin can keep the boy, but we are definitely keeping him.
Rain, come, I found your brother.
Walking out, you enter the common room, and Liberty is still in there. I assume she hasn't done anything too terrible.
So as soon as Darian walks in, she looks at the boy, makes eye contact with Darian. So, did they come? Were they passed down by your forefathers as well?
No, I procured them, as I have mentioned prior.
To give a bit more detailed explanation to give a bit more detailed explanation to Liberty as she sees Zephyr for the first time. Rather thin, red-skinned tiefling, darker hair that is a bit floppy, just shaved on the sides, but large head of hair on the top that kind of folds over
He's
to
a
one
Twitch
side.
streamer.
He is definitely a Twitch streamer. The thin face has almost a set expression of stubbornness. I would say defiance, but he
Yep.
seems
Like more temper.
unlike Rain, who tried to make sure that she was respectful and deferent to anyone who spoke to her. Zephyr has no problem meeting your gaze and holding it, daring you to look away first.
I'll meet his with much softer expression than the one I'm giving Darian.
Rain, Zephyr, I am sure you are aware of the understanding in the agreement that we have. This is Liberty. She will be staying with us for a while. She has earned my trust. Feel free to be yourselves around her. I am suspending the rule for her.
When he says "earned my trust," Liberty's eyebrow shoots straight up.
Almost matched by the quizzical look that Zephyr gives you, Darian, before turning to you, Liberty, and saying, "A pleasure to meet you," giving a stiff bow without lowering his head.
Pleasure to meet you as well, sir.
Liberty, these are my children. Rain, Zephyr. You two are feel free to be yourselves while she is here. Of course, if someone else is to show up, then the understanding remains. Liberty, however, has proven herself, and I trust her. So, by all means, go about your business as you were. She will be staying with us. How long would you say, Liberty? Up to you.
At least a day or so, I think, till I get an understanding of the environment.
I would imagine you would be quite shocked, as you can see the children are as well. My apologies. As I have stated before, I have a reputation to uphold. The city is as it is, even though we don't all agree with its rules. We were still in the city at the time, so I had to act accordingly with Rain before, especially with her running the shop, even though she is not necessarily cleaning as she should be. But, no matter. Feel free to look around. If you wish to read in a study, you may. I am going to help Rain with dinner.
Oh, wonderful. I was planning on just making a stew of some sort.
Wonderful.
Welcome again, Miss Liberty. It is nice to officially, properly meet you, I suppose. Feel free to make yourself comfortable. And at this point, Rain is actually meeting your gaze and showing a little less obvious deference. A bit more kindly, and the smile that she gives is definitely warm. Darian and I will be in the other room. Zephyr looks at everyone and says, yes, welcome and all of that. I have things to do in the yard, definitely not gardening. Before he stiffly walks away.
Can I get you anything, Liberty?
I believe you said that Rain makes a good cup of coffee.
Ah, yes.
Already have a pot boiling. It should just be a few more minutes.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And Liberty is returning the warm smile at this point.
A few minutes
this is a bit
later-
of culture shock for you, but she makes a very fine stew. So, you may get to know them at dinner if you wish.
I look forward to it.
A few minutes later, a steaming cup of coffee is placed in your hands before Rain quickly moves back to the kitchen. You very quickly hear her shouting at Daria, No, those will burn! Those will burn!
I know what I am doing.
You obviously do not. Hand me the utensils.
Remember, I am the
it's
one
quite-
who taught you.
And obviously forgot it in doing so.
I'm not as old as you think.
You are definitely older than you think.
I suppose that's fair. That is fair.
Oh.
That is fair.
About 20 minutes later, you Liberty see Zephyr, hands covered in dirt, entering back into the main chamber, trying to rub away some of the stains from his jerkin and from his hands. I see coffee has been made. I will go get some myself.
I do hope no one's given you either of you any trouble while I've been gone. Yes?
Eh,
Eh? You say eh.
I do say eh.
Would you care to elaborate?
It wasn't anything I couldn't deal with.
Zephyr?
That is my name, yes.
Like I said, I gave the DM reign. Full reign. Zephyr, what's...
Really sad Rin isn't stalking us right now to meet this kid.
I thought about it, but I was like, no, I can't.
Honestly,
justify that.
we haven't gotten to that point yet. If you want to be stalking them,
No, I can't,
honestly,
I can't.
they're if it helps any, they're probably the most interesting people you've met recently.
Yeah, but like I can't justify it, and honestly,
In due time.
Rin's not the kind of person who would be like, oh well. Correction. He picked up very clearly that this isn't sort of like, this isn't something he's welcome at, and he's associated with them enough that like he realized that like he could probably give a shit maybe on a Wednesday, but like he just doesn't care, so he's going off to do his own thing. If they don't want him around, that's fine. He'll find something else to do.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm sure we'll run into each other soon.
Nothing I couldn't deal with.
So you keep saying, but you're not telling me what happened.
He's being difficult for some reason. Nothing really. There were a few people who were dissatisfied with the condition of a few of the books at the shop, but I was able to keep it from coming to blows. And may have had to give them a full refund, but that is how it works.
All right, that's fine.
Exactly. Nothing I couldn't handle.
Thank you for telling me.
I Zephyr as I tell her that.
He doesn't care.
I know. I raised that boy. I know.
Nor should he. This magnificent person.
So did you pick up anything interesting other than the woman in the hall?
Bit of leather. Killed a bullet. Traded for some leather. That was fun.
You traded bullet pieces for leather.
Yes.
Zephyr is visibly disappointed.
The family has armor in the storage, lack of a appropriate term. But you need clothes on your back. And I got a wonderful deal for it, for the condition of the pieces.
It better have been a wonderful deal.
Yeah.
Zephyr, lay off of him a little. Just because you've been cooped up in the house doesn't mean that you need to take it out on everyone. He looks a little abashed as Rain chastises him. You all do what you can with dinner. I'm going to go do something else. And Zephyr walks away.
Oh, that child.
That is one word for it, yes.
Child of mine.
PM, just for my character's knowledge, how old do the two of them look?
They look to be probably early 20s. They're young. They might be late teens, they might be early 20s.
Noted.
But you do see Zephyr come out from the kitchen area. He walks into the room, looks around, and so before walking over to a low couch that is part of the or around the centerpiece of the room. Darian seems to trust you quite implicitly. It's been what, 2 days?
3.
You're not there. I'll take a seat next to him, like on a nearby cushion or whatever. Yes.
He moves a little further away.
Like I wasn't sitting down right next to him, but
He still moves a little further away.
yeah, fair enough.
And so goddamn much.
Darian, someone's about to adopt your child.
I'm about to kidnap your child and make him think he's mine.
Not kidnapping, surprise adoption.
You know,
Yes.
they've already been adopted. First of all, excuse you. Second of all, he wouldn't have to be convinced. He's practically the same person.
Anyways,
I admit the circumstances of our meeting were unusual at best. We were sort of thrown together, and does Darian always get a habit of getting himself into trouble?
yes. 100%.
You're not there.
I could still laugh.
I
He
see.
is what some would call an adventurous spirit. What I would call an insufferable prick who thinks that he is very powerful.
He has an interesting set of skills.
That is one way of putting it.
I do my best to speak of others charitably and diplomatically. To keep him from burning too many bridges in the long run. Does he
That's a
treat
choice.
you? Sure. She lowers her voice a little bit and switches to infernal. Does he treat you well?
I mean, I don't understand the question.
Am I an asshole slave driver? Is essentially the
you-
question.
Could you rephrase it? He says, crossing his arms and taking a more comfortable position.
Does he take good care of you and your sister?
That wasn't so much of a rephrase as an addition.
Forgive me, it has been some time since I have had a casual conversation.
Obviously.
I do appreciate your directness. I'll wait for y'all to catch your breath.
Yeah. Kel in particular is really enjoying this.
Oh, I could just listen to this for days. My God.
It was like, I've never heard someone do such a brilliant imitation of me.
I feel so flattered.
Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
It's true. Please, be frank.
This is not a a situation I've seen before, so I am struggling to grasp what is happening. He speaks of you in private as if you are his own children. Is he doing that simply for my sake, or is that how he actually treats you when no one else is around?
I mean, yes, it is for your sake, because he did not, in fact, birth us, nor did he have any part of such a thing. So, no, we are not his children.
Wow, this guy really knows how to sound like a real person. I am not robot.
Oh my god. He did not birth us, if that is your question.
My name is Mark Zuckerberg. I am mortal, just as you.
So, yes, it is for your own sake that he puts it that way. He likes to think of us as his children. And, I mean, he takes care of us. This house is his, and we do live in it.
And he treats you with kindness and respect?
More rain than me, but I'm not complaining.
That's not my fault. I raised an asshole.
Come on, everyone knows.
You lose
that
a
your
little bit of
daughter-
respect along the way. That's just how it works.
Hey, you're asking him his opinion. This is his opinion.
I know. I'm aware.
Everybody can see that he's like, 17 years old and a little bit of a. I'm proficient in insight.
Yes, yes, you do. And you are getting the sense of he's kind of just a little shit. And he's definitely a bit older than 17.
Fair enough.
But yeah, he's definitely that age range.
He's a sassy boy.
He is what one would call a sasshole.
Most people would just say he's an asshole.
But he's a sassy asshole.
So am I, but people just call me an asshole.
No, we just call you Hademos. You are as you are.
Call him a number of things. Let's be real.
Say that again?
Does that answer your question?
I believe so.
And what of you? You say that you had some sort of adventure. And trust me, I know that Darian is very quick to trust with matters of importance. He says,
Indeed.
glaring towards the kitchen.
Indeed. I am surprised he would be so open with me so quickly.
If you knew him,
We-
you would be a little less surprised, no less disappointed, but not necessarily surprised.
I see. He started to get himself into a bit of an entanglement with some slavers in
Not again.
I helped extract him from that situation, but we ended up instead killing the men and freeing those they had captured.
Yes, that sounds quite like his style.
After that, he invited me back to rest here for a bit and have a cup of coffee. He mentioned you and your sister, and my curiosity was piqued.
Yes, we are an interesting bunch. But that does explain a little bit more why he actually brought you home in that style.
I certainly hope he is not in the habit of bringing strange women home all the time.
He grins a sly, shit-eating grin.
Oh, you dog.
No, he is not. He is far more likely to bring strange books home and pore over them for no good reason. They're so boring. I've tried reading them.
The same books that he learns his magic out.
I mean, some of them are just far too intellectual.
Fair enough. There's many kinds of books in the world, some of them more dangerous than others, and some of them far less interesting. I would take a good story from a good storyteller over a dry book of history any day.
To each their own.
Not a fan of stories yourself?
I mean, they're interesting for children.
Mhm.
I found they can be quite useful for people of all ages. Are you and your sister the only ones he
Go on,
is?
say it.
You said that he tends to entangle himself with slavers quite a bit. Are you and your sister the only ones he's brought home?
My sister and I looks towards the kitchen for a second. Here's Darian and Rain still cooking. He liberated us at quite a young age. And my tribe had been killed off in the raid that led to my enslavement. And Rain, I don't think ever knew her parents. So they just held on. We had nowhere else to go. And I mean, he provides food and shelter and sometimes entertainment. Sometimes we have to pretend to be slaves, and that's the rule of the house. I wish he'd take me on his excursions to liberate, as you put it, more. But he says he's more cautious than that, and it's boring.
It is difficult for one to walk freely in these streets without looking very normal. However, if he were to bring you along on these excursions where he tends to get himself entangled in trouble, who would be there to look after Rain, excuse me.
I mean, she can look after herself. She's not helpless. She runs that bookshop quite well.
Yeah, of course. It's just been my experience that the men of the city do like to take advantage of women that they deem lower status.
I mean, statistically, that says more about you than it says about the men, but...
Oh shit.
I
Observations.
love him so fucking much.
Kel, did you read the addendum to the profile?
I have not. I haven't been looking at the chat.
Should clarify. This is observations I have made. I too can look after myself and am not likely to let any man take advantage. I have my own surprises.
How reassuring.
Well, it is not meant to be a threat unless you mean me harm.
I did not take it as a threat.
Sorry, I talked over you. I didn't hear his response.
I did not take it as a threat.
I'm glad. I would rather see us as at least neutral acquaintances or even friends rather than enemies.
He just kind of sits there and doesn't really respond. Dinner's taking too long.
Oz, listen for a moment, hear Rain give another scathing remark to Darian.
Yeah, it's likely.
Perhaps I should get Darian out of the kitchen so that Rain can make dinner in peace.
Don't care.
And he's back to sulking.
He stands up and brushes some of the clumps of dirt that are still attached to his pants and jerkin onto the floor. Well, I have things to do. And just kind of walks off unceremoniously. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, that is too much paprika.
I thought you liked paprika.
Yes, but there is there is quite something of a too much of a good thing. Now, back away. Let me deal with this. Go see to your guest. She is probably bored to tears out there.
He has wandered into the study to look at the books as was offered, and because she's curious to see if she finds any concerning books in there.
Go ahead
You've
and
got
make
20
an
seconds
investigation
to
check.
look.
Investigation?
Investigation, yeah.
9.
Okay. Looking through them, I mean, a decent amount of them are actually seemingly medical books. You see a book titled Hossine's Study on Anatomy and the Human Form. A few different books on concoctions and cauldrons. He's a freaking nerd. That's what you're gathering. Before the door opens back up and you see Darian in the doorway.
Liberty, I do hope that my son has not offended you in any way.
Oh, no. Zephyr was quite pleasant to talk to. Quite refreshing.
It's quite a change of pace for him. He is rather unfiltered and unceremonious at times. But, that is his personality.
I must say is quite refreshing. Many men are so worried about appearances these days.
A fair point. Were you looking for anything in particular to read?
Just browsing, I suppose.
Well, I have been kicked out of the kitchen again, so but I do believe it should be about ready in a few minutes.
Oh, wonderful to hear. Have you considered that perhaps the student has already become the master and you should listen to Rain's advice in the kitchen at least?
She considering that she manages the storefront, I have my suspicions that she's been reading more cookbooks than she leads on.
Indeed, I'm sure that those books would be far more effective in the kitchen than these would for you. Unless you are serving up some very concerning meat sources.
No, they don't taste very good.
Inside check!
Oh, so sad.
Sure.
I mean, you can insight check. I'm just making a joke, but I can understand your concern.
Sees books on anatomy. Oh no, they don't taste very good.
22.
I assure you, the richer taste worse. They get
Definitely a
the
joke.
meat gets soft.
I'm just hearing Bit of Priest from Sweeney Todd in my head.
I
But yes,
believe
with the
it.
22, you can definitely tell it's a joke.
Good to know.
She still has reservations, though.